Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a health mystery that affects literally millions of people. And it all starts with a simple piece of paper from your doctor, a blood report that comes back saying, hey, everything's normal. But what if I told you that normal might be the most misleading word in your entire health journey? This right here, this question is the heart of the puzzle we're going to solve today. It's something that so many people, especially in the South Asian community, are facing without even knowing it. You know, your doctor gives you the thumbs up, but deep down inside your body, a metabolic storm is brewing. Let's figure out exactly why that is. Okay, first things first, let's just grasp the sheer scale of what we're talking about. This isn't some rare fringe condition. Nope. This is a massive epidemic that's pretty much hiding in plain sight, and it's affecting people who, from the outside, look totally and completely healthy. Just look at this number, 1 in 7. Let that sink in for a second. That's not just a statistic, that's a staggering reality. It means that all around you, your family, your friends, the people you work with, chances are they're affected. But the really scary part is how it's affecting them, often in ways that you would never, ever expect. And that brings us to this absolutely critical concept, the thin fat phenotype. Honestly, think of this as the master of disguise in our whole medical mystery. On the outside, someone can have a totally normal weight, a BMI that gets a gold star. But on the inside, their body is telling a completely different story. A story with high levels of dangerous fat wrapped around their organs and not nearly enough muscle to keep their blood sugar in check. So what's creating this perfect storm? Well, it all starts with that visceral fat we just mentioned. That stuff isn't just sitting there, it's actively messing with your metabolism. At the same time, when you have low muscle mass, your body has fewer, let's call them engines, to burn off the sugar you eat. Now you combine that with a genetic predisposition for weaker insulin-producing cells, a diet packed with carbs, and a less active lifestyle, and boom. You've got the perfect recipe for diabetes, even in someone who looks fit. Okay, so this leads to the next big question in our investigation. If this problem is so incredibly common, why are we so bad at catching it early? Well, the simple answer is, we've been relying on old, outdated clues. It's like trying to solve a modern crime with a magnifying glass. Think of it like this, seriously. Relying on those standard tests, fasting glucose, HbA1c, it's like being a detective who shows up to the crime scene years after the crime was committed. The evidence is cold. These numbers only start to rise after your body's defenses are totally worn out and real, sometimes irreversible damage has already happened. At that point, you're not preventing a disease, you're just managing it. So to actually crack this case, we have to stop looking at the aftermath, the high blood sugar. We need to go back to the beginning and follow the trail of evidence, and that trail starts with one crucial hormone, insulin. So here's the play-by-play. You eat carbs, your blood sugar goes up. Super simple, right? Your pancreas then releases insulin, which is like a key that unlocks your cells to let that sugar in for energy. But over time, because of things like that visceral fat, your cells start to get lazy. They start ignoring the key. This is what we call insulin resistance. So what does your pancreas do? It panics. It starts shouting, pumping out way more insulin to get the message through. Eventually, those poor little beta cells in the pancreas just get exhausted. They give up. And that's the moment your blood sugar finally shoots up on a test. But here is the amazing part. This is where modern science gives us a completely new high-tech forensic toolkit. Instead of waiting for that final failure, that last step, we can now detect the hidden struggle that's been happening for years. We can see it all happening way back in steps 3 and 4. Let's put this side by side because the difference is night and day. The old clues, your fasting glucose and HbA1c, those are late-stage markers. They're the alarm bells that only go off after the house is already on fire. But the new evidence, tests like HOMA-IR and C-peptide, these are the smoke detectors. HOMA-IR tells us how much your cells are resisting insulin. C-peptide tells us how hard your pancreas is working to make it. These are the clues that blow the case wide open while there's still plenty of time to fix it. So the whole point, the giant leap forward here is this. We are shifting away from just treating a number, high blood sugar, to finally understanding the mechanism behind it. We can now ask the right question. Is the problem that my body is fighting against insulin? Or is the problem that my pancreas is just too worn out to make enough of it? Answering that one question changes absolutely everything. And so with this new evidence in hand, the mystery isn't just solved, we actually get a precise, targeted plan of action. Let's take a look at what that actually means for you. You see, it really boils down to 2 main culprits. If you have a high HOMA-IR test, that points to insulin resistance. Your cells are ignoring the signal, so the solution isn't to just scream louder with more insulin, it's to get your body to listen again. On the flip side, if you have a low C-peptide test, that signals insulin deficiency. Your pancreas is tired. The solution there is to support the pancreas and protect what's left. Two very different problems that demand two very different solutions.
This means the whole game plan becomes incredibly personalized. If you have insulin resistance, the goal is to make your body sensitive again. You build muscle, which acts like a sponge that just soaks up sugar from your blood. You focus on getting rid of that disruptive visceral fat. But if you have insulin deficiency, the focus is completely different. It's all about preserving your pancreas, using precise nutrition, and working really closely with your doctor. It becomes a targeted strike instead of a blind guess.
So let's wrap up with this final thought. That normal blood sugar report, it's just the last page of a very long book. The real story, the interesting story of your metabolic health, is being written years earlier in the chapters about your insulin, your muscle, and your fat. The key is to start listening to those early chapters, long before the dramatic conclusion is already written for you.